Welcome to the New Media Podcast, Episode 1. Today's episode is particularly special because it's something that I hold very near and dear to my heart, superhero films. Now, I absolutely love superhero films, superhero television, comics, you name it, I've read it, and I love it. But there seems to be kind of an overpowering problem with today's superhero media, and that is that Marvel is taking huge control. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love Marvel Comics. I love most of Marvel's TV shows that they've had. But that kind of leaves DC in the background. And I also love DC too. Growing up, I grew up with Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, the Justice League Unlimited, pretty much every single made-for-TV or direct-to-video, direct-to-streaming, whatever it may be, a superhero, Batman movie or Superman movie. I've seen all those too, and I absolutely love them. But there's a big problem. And the problem is that, well, Warner Brothers and DC isn't really doing so hot right now. As you can clearly see over the past couple weeks ago, I believe, or maybe just last week even, that they announced that Henry Cavill may or may not be coming back as Superman. And I was kind of interested in that. I mean, I think that's a pretty big deal. It's pretty big news. And then they were just talking about, well, they'll continue with people like Wonder Woman and Jason Momoa, who play Wonder Woman and Aquaman respectively. But also Ben Affleck might be out. I don't think he really wants to do it anymore. Frankly, I don't know why he agreed to do it if he was just going to drop out in the middle of this whole rehaul thing anyway, but that's just my personal thing about it. So we're losing Batman, we're losing Superman, and recently a YouTuber by the name of Angry Joe, maybe some of y'all have heard of him, maybe some of y'all haven't, go check out his channel. He has some pretty decent stuff. He is known for doing a lot of angry rants, and he had a very, very angry rant about the Warner Brothers decision to possibly recast Superman and possibly get rid of Henry Cavill, and some Twitter posts from Henry Cavill's, I might be saying it wrong, maybe it's Henry Cavill. Some people have been saying it's Cavill. I don't know. I'm just calling him from what I've always called him, and that's Cavill. And he is saying that that he's still in there as Superman at the moment. They're working some things out, which is fine because I actually really, really like Henry Cavill or Cavill as Superman. I think he's good. He looks the part. He actually looks a lot like Christopher Reeve, and he is fantastic in the role. I absolutely loved Man of Steel. I thought Man of Steel was a good start to the DC Cinematic Universe. And then they made the now infamous Batman vs. Superman. I had very high hopes going in to see Batman vs. Superman. It looked like The Dark Knight Returns. I kind of thought that's what it was going to be. But then it turned into this weird jumbled mess. Don't even get me started on Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. And it was just really, really bad. And then they said that, well, okay, we're going to have a Wonder Woman movie. And I was like, oh man, please don't mess up the big three. Okay, just don't do it. I don't get me wrong, I like Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he fit the older, aging Batman pretty well. He's still physically fit. He fits the kind of type. But just in Batman v Superman, he was just okay. He didn't reach his full potential. I liked seeing the new type of fighting style. It was very from the video games, very Arkham Asylum, Arkham City type, busting through walls, dragging people, hooking them with the back claw thing and pulling them around. That was cool. Like, don't get me wrong. I loved seeing Ben Affleck or whoever his stunt person was doing the fight scenes for Batman and Batman v Superman. It was just cool. It was just good. That's what I imagine it would be like. Definitely, 100%. But there were a few problems with the story. I mean, Batman v Superman had, three writers, and then also Ben Affleck did rewrites and all this other stuff. Like, I mean, come on, just you did good just working with one person. I mean, heck, pull in someone from the animated series. Pull in Paul Dini. I mean, he's a fantastic writer. He knows what's going on. Frank Miller, who did The Dark Knight Returns, bring him in. I mean, come on, you got the whole possibility of DC comic things at your fingertips, and you wanted to mix in The Dark Knight, mixed in with Doomsday, Superman Doomsday, and it was a jumbled mess. It was pretty bad. But then a couple years later, they released Wonder Woman. And going in, I was like, okay, let's just kind of, it could be really good, could be really bad. Let's just see how this thing pans out. And it was fantastic. Wonder Woman is a fantastic, not only just a fantastic superhero movie, but it was a fantastic DC superhero movie. And I was like, okay, well, what do you got next? This is good. This is kind of on the right track. I really liked it. This is kind of what I thought when I was thinking Wonder Woman. And then they came out with the Justice League. And I was really excited for Justice League. When they said that they were making it, I was like, okay, this is going to be good. You got like essentially the original team, Cyborg and kind of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman. You kind of had them all there together, and it wasn't fantastic. I thought it could have been a lot better, but it wasn't as bad as Batman v Superman. And now they're kind of doing a thing where they're starting to focus on character-based films. Like they just had recently released some stuff for the new standalone Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, which looks fantastic, by the way. His makeup looks awesome. It's creepy. He looks creepy. It's going to be good. I think Todd Phillips is a perfect choice for director. I think it's going to be a good movie. It's going to be fantastic. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But then you also have Matt Vaughn's The Batman, which takes place in Arkham Asylum. It might be even a direct thing from the video games. We don't know yet. And it just looks really, really good. Things that I've heard about it, a couple screenshots here and there. And I think it's going to be a good, again, not only a good superhero movie, but it's going to be a good Batman movie. We haven't had a good Batman movie since Christopher Nolan's Batman. And I really love Christopher Nolan's Batman. I thought it was good. I thought it was fantastic. Love The Dark Knight. Love The Dark Knight Rises. I'm not a huge fan of Batman Begins, but you got to start somewhere, I guess. So, and if you don't know who Matt Vaughn is, he made movies like the couple of the newer Planet of the Apes films. And he also did a little thing called Cloverfield, which I absolutely love Cloverfield as well. I think it was some of his best and some of J.J. Abrams' best as well, because he was a main producer on it and did a fantastic job. But here's the thing. DC is doing too much to try and be like Marvel. That's no surprise there. A lot of people have been saying it. I'm saying it too. But they're just trying too hard. They really jump the gun on a lot of things. Like, when you start your cinematic universe, it's probably not the best thing to combine 3 major comic book stories into one until you've established the characters. Like, could you imagine that if Marvel started off their cinematic universe with Avengers, or even Avengers Infinity War? People would have been confused, people would have thought it was stupid, people wouldn't have known anything about any of the characters, aside from what you have read from comics. They took about 8 to 10 years to develop these stories. With all the 3 Iron Man movies, the 2 Captain America movies, went ahead and did 2 Avengers movies already before Infinity War, Black Panther, I think even the Incredible Hulk's in there somewhere, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Guardians of the Galaxy. Come on, the list is endless of all these characters they were introducing, all these characters that they were planning. They were probably planning this 8 to 10 years even before what we got, before Iron Man, before the Incredible Hulk, before all those different things were coming about. And it's good. Each movie has been progressively better. Black Panther, absolutely loved it. Avengers Age of Ultron, which, again, James Spader as Ultron is a perfect casting choice. Fight me on that one. And then Josh Brolin as Thanos. I could not have picked a more perfect Thanos than Josh Brolin. His and how they've written his character, even through just what you've seen through small clips, what you've seen maybe in like Guardians of the Galaxy and end credit scenes, mid credit scenes, whatever it is, you knew what this guy was all about. And in that first scene in Avengers Infinity War where he pretty much just hands it to the Hulk, I mean, come on, it was good. But that's the problem with DC. DC has the potential to be just as good, if not better, than the Marvel Cinematic Universe if they would do some revitalizing and if they would just take things slow. Not each film has to be super big and over the top each and every time. Of course, each film should be progressively better than the next one. Kind of where Marvel failed there a little bit was Iron Man 2, I think. But I mean, if you can cite Iron Man 2 as being your bad superhero movie in your lineup and every other one is good, I think you're doing something right. You're obviously doing something right. Some people are on the fence about Age of Ultron, and I know, I mean, it was good. Some of it was kind of like, but a lot of it was also pretty good as well. Winter Soldier was really good. Civil War was fantastic. I know I'm leaving out a lot of Marvel movies, but there's tons of them. And each one kind of pushes and ups the ante just a little bit more than the next one. Iron Man 3 was certainly a little bit heavier and pushed a little bit more than Iron Man 1. The second Avengers pushed a little bit more than the first Avengers. Black Panther pushed everything in terms of its characters, its story, what it wanted to tell. And then Infinity War was a great way to kind of mesh it all together. And they're still not done. We're still getting a Captain Marvel movie with Brie Larson. We're getting another Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland. We're getting a fourth Avengers movie along with that. So the big thing between Marvel and DC is that DC and Warner Brothers, mostly Warner Brothers, I shouldn't say DC, it's mostly Warner Brothers' fault. They're just kind of, well, everyone loves these characters, so let's just make movies about them. And okay, yes, we do love these characters. We have been waiting since forever to have a good Justice League movie, a good Batman movie outside of the Christopher Nolan Batman's. I really wish that he would have stayed. That would have been so great. Christopher Nolan directing a Justice League movie? I mean, sign me up for that. That just sounds good. But there's always a kind of a point in being a company that owns all these properties and has all this stuff where you really need to take a step back and just realize we need to make some changes. I know people have said that DC and Warner Brothers have considered firing Henry Cavill and recasting Superman with Michael B. Jordan. And honestly, I'm fine with that. I like Michael B. Jordan. I think he's a great actor. I think he is versatile. Watching him act in Creed and then turning around and watching Black Panther and watching him act as Killmonger was awesome. He's got the chops for it. He could certainly pull off a Superman role. He could probably pull off any role he's given to him, honestly. And sometimes I think it is necessary to make changes like that. Now, I think that if they're going to be kind of pushing a restart on everything with the DC universe, they probably need to restart with some of the other actors and other properties as well, such as Wonder Woman, such as Aquaman. Because my thing is, I feel like they're going to be basing whether or not your character gets to stay in the cinematic universe or the actor gets to stay based on the success of the film. And that is, one, a poor business model, and two, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If Aquaman doesn't live up to their expectations, are they going to fire Jason Momoa because the film was not successful? No. What they probably should do is fire the writers and the directors that were on the project and keep the actor. Same with the Superman movies. If the next Superman movie doesn't do as good as Man of Steel or Justice League or Wonder Woman or whatever it may be, you shouldn't fire Henry Cavill for a lackluster film. you should fire the writers and directors for maybe not making as good or an engaging story. That's what people want when they go to films, when they go to the theaters, when they log on to their Netflix or Hulu or Amazon accounts or whatever it may be. We want engaging stories, whether it's through superheroes, whether it's through horror films, whether it's through sci-fi. All we're looking for is engaging stories. And if you can keep us engaged, keep the characters interesting, but also with these type of properties, not take away what makes the character so good while also making a good story, it's important to us, especially with people who love the comic books, who love the TV shows, who love some of the previous movies made about them. I pretty much love almost every single Batman movie that's been made, with the exception of the shall not be named Batman vs. Robin. Ugh. That was just a mistake. It was just a mistake. Everyone knows it. But I actually really like Batman Forever. I really like Batman Returns. I like The Dark Knight. I like Michael Keaton's Batman. I like Val Kilmer's Batman. But the thing is they didn't compromise any of the characters' rules that have been established in other medium for the sake of a bigger story. A lot of people had a big problem with Ben Affleck as Batman because we're pretty sure he just straight up killed people. Like, that's cool, but that's not Batman. Batman doesn't kill. It's part of his mantra. He may severely injure them and beat them until a couple inches within their life, but he doesn't kill them. That's who he is. He doesn't use guns either. He finds them, I actually think, is part of his, in the psychology of Batman, I think he's a little bit afraid of them. I think if he started using guns, he would have too much power. And yes, there are some alternate universe versions of Batman, like the Thomas Wayne Batman, that actually do use guns. But I'm just talking about the regular old Bruce Wayne that we know. He doesn't use guns. He doesn't kill people. Same with Superman. He might kill someone if life and death depend on it, but it's usually not his life or death. It's usually the life and death of other people. And this is where we kind of go back to Man of Steel. A lot of people were upset about when he was fighting General Zod, and Zod was about to pretty much slice a family's heads off, and Superman broke his neck. And then he felt bad about it. Like, that is the Superman that we know. That's the Superman that I love. If he's going to take the life of someone, he uses that as a last resort. He does not want to be known as a killer, as someone that just goes around killing people as part of justice. It's just not his character either. So that's why I think Man of Steel works pretty well too, is you can see the anguish, how much he doesn't want to do what he has to do, but also him willing to do it. That's what makes Superman so good. That's what makes Batman so good. A lot of people argue that Batman is just a rich boy in a cool suit with cool gadgets, and essentially, yes, he is, but he's also a very troubled human. He knows that maybe eventually some of these people might have to die, but he doesn't want to be the reason why they die. He still wants to be able to bring them justice because he still believes in the justice system, in the court system. He believes that they can still bring good justice. That's Batman. Batman just doesn't go around killing people. That's kind of the problem I had with the current DC Batman, is he's just shooting people up, probably going crazy, and yeah, that looks cool, but that's not the Batman that we want, and that's not the Batman that we, the people, like. So DC, to Warner Brothers, to everyone associated with those films, the TV shows, including the TV show Titan, that's going to be probably a separate podcast just on its own when it finally comes out. Just because it's dark and gritty doesn't make it better, doesn't make it more adult. The way that you write, the content that you have in your rhetoric, and how you write the characters, that has more standing than seeing things blow up and making everything black and white, essentially. We don't want to just see a super gritty and dark Batman if it doesn't have to be. but we also don't want a super over-the-top and too much fun type of Batman like with Batman and Robin. We want something that's a healthy mix of both. If you look at the animated series, there was lots of comedy in there, but there was also some really serious, kind of sad moments too, both with Batman, some of his villains, or just people that he interacted with. That's the kind of Batman that we want to see. Same with Superman. He's just trying to be an average, everyday citizen and only being Superman when he has to be, not when he wants to be. I wish that with Henry Cavill's Batman, we could see more of his personal side, more of his Clark Kent side. Not to say we should see less of his Superman side, because we still want to see a Superman movie, but maybe a little bit more humanity in who Henry Cavill's Superman really is. And I think that's what makes the Marvel movies a lot better. In Infinity War, you see a lot of the humanity, even in some of the villains like Thanos. His quote about making the hardest decision coming from the strongest of wills, he didn't necessarily want to kill his daughter Gamora, but he knew that, in his mind anyway, he believed that it was the only choice to achieve his goal. Same with Star-Lord, Peter Quill, in that movie. He was so angry and upset about the loss of someone that he loved by the hands of someone that he considered to be a monster that he started taking actions into his own hands. Marvel movies, yes, they give us the superhero aspect and the comic book aspect that we all love, but they also give us the humanity of those characters. They dig deep into the psychology of why these characters are the way they are and why they act the way that they act. So, to DC, to Warner Brothers, to anyone that works with them, take a page out of the lesson book of Marvel and what they've shown us, is that we like to see people who are humans. Even if they are superheroes, we still like to see their everyday lives. We still like to see the struggles that they go through, and they don't have to be dark and gritty. They can be dark, funny, sad, romantic, all those other different things as well, without compromising the basic structure of their characters. So if DC wants to catch up to Marvel, they need to do a couple things. One, they need to take their time. They need to slow it down a bit. Take that 8 or 10 years, or maybe even longer that it might take, and pump out good films. Not just, this will put butts in the seats kind of movie, popcorn flick. We don't need that. We don't want that. Also, take more time to show the humanity of your characters. Take more time to show the struggles that Batman goes through, the struggles that Wonder Woman has to go through. Show that in the direction and in the writing of that character. Show more of the humanity of those characters, because that's what we want to see. We still want them to be relatable to us as well. And finally, don't be afraid to push the envelope a little bit. Pushing the envelope too much will just get an out-of-control, crazy ride that either won't make sense or will just be subpar, like Batman v Superman. So in the future, if you're going to be making a Batman movie, more solo Joker movies, or Superman films, or whoever you use from the DC properties, take the time and effort to put humanity in your characters. Take your time to put out good movies, not just okay movies. This has been Andy Yardley with the New Media First podcast on superheroes. We'll be doing these on a weekly basis, usually uploaded on Tuesdays, and maybe even on a twice-weekly basis, Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you like what you have heard, be sure to check us out at eufusradionewmedia.com, or check out our YouTube channel, which is New Media at Eufus, for more content like this and for other more fun content with people from our university. We thank you for your time. We thank you for listening and tuning in. Don't be afraid to like, share, subscribe, tell your grandma, your neighbor's cat, whoever it may be, and come and support not only our university, but all the students who helped made this thing a reality. So thank you, good day, have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time.